Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Padawan Unlimited Podcast YouTube edition. Thank you so much for joining. And before we get started, I really want to give a shout out to all the new subs that have joined within the last week. Last week I mentioned that we hit 30 subs for this channel, and this week got 40. We're at 44. That is so freaking cool. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined within the last week. Like I mentioned, not really doing any like super heavy marketing, and I'm not like buying subs like I know some other people do. So I really appreciate everyone who's joining, listening, and also being active participants in the comments and everything like that. I really appreciate it. Really want to grow this community, and I'm going to do that with all of you. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thanks for joining. Please remember to subscribe, and also tell all your friends if they might be interested. This channel is really focused on Star Wars Unlimited, competitive, casual, but I also throw in things like lore. I think it's really fun to do that because I love Star Wars and I hope you do too. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Boba suspension, which happened last week on November 8th, 2024, and why I think it's a good move. But before we go into that, I want to just go into why I think that's the case, and also the article, because I know not everyone might have read it. So I've just taken some quick lines here. These are roughly paraphrased, if not like copy pasted. So thank you, FFG, for your content that I get to put post here. So they had a couple of reasons for why they suspended Boba Fett. The first is that he represented around 40% of the top eight finishers in planetary qualifiers. For those of you who don't know what a planetary qualifier is, it's the top level competition right now for Star Wars Unlimited. Um, and more than 55% of the winners were Boba Fett. So as you can see, there's a huge chunk of the meta where Boba Fett was, as a leader, was dominating. And it was not just like one specific combination, like command green and then yellow. It was yellow cunning. It was regardless of the color. They were all top eight finishing. So there's a very strong meta dominance with Boba Fett. So the second reason they one of the other reasons they suspended Boba Fett was that it's really clean and easy to understand, which I really actually appreciate. It's really easy to fall into the kind of the rabbit hole of in competition of tweaking in over tweaking and like, okay, let's ban Boba Fett's armor, let's ban Fett's fire spray, let's do all these different things. Um, or changing the power levels, which is the thing that they strongly dismissed. If you overcomplicate something like this, it is to me bad for the community because it's really hard to understand, and there's going to be a lot of angst and agita within casual or competitive play. And then also keep in mind that he is still playable in other formats. So, for example, if your store does Twin Suns, which I've played a couple Twin Suns at stores, you can still play Boba Fett. So he's not completely banned. He's just suspended for a period of time. And I think that these 4 points are also are really fair, in my opinion, to why they came to this decision. Also, stuff from the article, they talk about how he was just the most severe power level outlier, which I think we all already kind of knew. He comes out at five as a five drop with crazy stats, and his ability is so good, and he's also a leader, so you can't just like use certain things on him, right? Which is really powerful. In the article, they mentioned, imagine if Sabine came out as a 2/7 or Vader was like a 5/10, right? That's the kind of levels where if that was the case, if those were the leaders, how the leaders were, then Boba Fett wouldn't be as overpowered. But because they scaled him up and they didn't, but they scaled the others down, he's again really an outlier. And it really obviously it really showed in the competition. Now, I think this is okay that at least for the first set that they really kind of push the barrier in terms of power leveling because like they mentioned in the article, there was nothing to measure against. So I'd rather them take risks in the game than not take risks and the game be really kind of placid and boring. So the next update is that they're going to have is March 2025, and they're going to make updates every couple of months. They're looking at meta game dominance as the primary metric, which I think again I think, a fair statistic to say. Is it the only statistic that they should use? Probably not. But I think, again, this is very clear for people to understand. And they're providing an update after after this set and before the beginning of the next set. So it's again, it's only temporary for now, and we'll see where we go from there. So they listed a couple of reasons why they wanted to suspend Boba Fett for a period of time. And when you read the article, I actually agree with most of it. I think it's fair overall, and I think this is a good step to going forward for the community because this was going to happen. Maybe not with Boba, but there was going to be a ban sometime in the near future. Like that was going to happen. It's better they do it now in conjunction with the start of a new set rather than waiting for an extended period of time where Boba Fett just keeps dominating, and people get bored of the game. Because what this does now is that it opens up the field to more than just um, playing Boba Fett. Now, does it suck that if you play Boba Fett for two sets, right, and you invested in this character, you have all the other Boba Fett legendaries and you got a showcase. Does it suck for you? I mean, I'm not going to deny it doesn't. I don't have a Boba Fett showcase, but I do have all his cards. And it hurts to see the value go down and to see something you might have invested in, like time and effort, um, kind of take a hard stop cold turkey. So I'm not denying that that's probably going to be an issue, but it opens up the game to all of these new other leaders that could potentially, supplant or take its place, and the meta gets truly shooken up. Which leads me to the last thing, Pup's hot takes. I think that a natural evolution of the game is that Jango Fett, Boba Fett's father, is going to take the place of Boba Fett. There's no good national synergies there. You can still use, I think, Boba Fett's fire spray, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, in the comments, please correct me. But I also think Asajj Ventress as a double yellow, for example, might take precedence as part of the set three leaders. Obviously, this is going to benefit Sabine. I think I've heard some chatter about maybe Cad Bane taking larger share of the meta. But I think that if that was going to happen, well, Cad Bane really in set two would have really started to dominate, which he didn't necessarily do. I don't remember seeing him place consistently in a lot of competitive tournaments, like truly competitive. I could be wrong, but I don't think Cad Bane's going to be the answer. Probably to me, Asajj, Django, and obviously this is going to benefit Sabine Wren the most. One other thing I would say before I get into the controversial comment on the right side of this screen is that I think that one of the things they might want to do in the future is include some top players in the conversation. And I'm not saying that they have a formal sit down with like all the PQ winners, and definitely not content creators, because I think content creators have their own separate agenda. But if you think about all the competitive players who committed dozens and dozens and dozens of hours into this game, if not hundreds of hours into this game, to really fine tune their decks and play test, I think that they're going to have a lot of good feedback. And if you involve the community so that the community is a little bit more aware of certain things and they can understand a little bit more of the why, a decision when it comes to banning will be a more informed and better decision. I'm not saying that FFG should, give them too much weight because again, there needs to be a pretty at least a semi-objective judge in this scenario. But I think one of the issues that got them into trouble the first time with Boba Fett is because how much testing did they have with truly competitive players and how much feedback did they take seriously? And if you keep doing that in a black box, you're going to keep making mistakes. Obviously, mistakes will always happen, but you can really mitigate them if you get an outside opinion. You don't want to be stuck in that black box, which I think, including some of the top players in the game, not me, of course, to be clear, I'm not a top player, but including some of maybe some of the PQ winners from each region into the conversation to talk about meta. I think that would be a good step in the right direction. Maybe like a player council of some sort that with rotations. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is I think the next step they should take is actually ban ECL. I don't think you should ban Sabine. I don't think Sabine is the problem. I think ECL is the problem. And I haven't done like a true analysis of how many you know tournaments have been won with Energy Conversion Lab, but I think that if you ban ECL, that in like Boba Fett is very clear to understand. It will also be very, very good for the meta because now you're going to have all the other rare bases that open up. I think after ECL, there's this very steep drop off to the next rare base that's used, which is probably Tarkentown. And then after that, who knows? Security complex? I don't know. No, probably not. Jeddah City. I've seen people use that too, but I think that banning ECL as a rare base for a period of time would be beneficial to the meta and the health of the community because now everyone's not focusing on essentially one rare base. Um, and with that, I'm gonna end this here. If you have any of your hot takes, please let me know in the comments below. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you think that anything else should be banned, let me know. And also, what do you think about the Boba suspension? Do you think it was a good move or a bad move? I'd love to hear your comments. And with that, I'm signing off. May the force be with you.